Hello and welcome everybody to today's live panel. I'm really excited today because I get to talk with Dreamdata customers who are all trying to make sense and make their intent data a lot more efficient. And it's a very interesting thing to work on nowadays because I think B2B marketers have never been sitting on top of more data, but actually making the data useful is probably not always easy, and not everyone is able to do so. So today we're going to talk with three people who have first-hand experience turning these intent signals into actual signals rather than just a lot of noise. And we're going to be talking about how they share this data with their sales teams, how they use them in their ad campaigns, and probably a lot more use cases. Probably they'll also talk about a few things that failed that you guys can avoid as well. With me today, I have three people, Tony, Mathilde, and Austin. And they will each just do a quick round of introductions of themselves for us so we know where they work, what types of accounts they're chasing, and what they do in their daily work. Austin, since you're the one who got up the earliest, I'll let you you do your first introduction, and then we'll take the two Europeans after.
Perfect. Sounds good. Hi, everyone. I'm Austin Sandmeyer, Director of Growth and GTM Engineering Strategy at Sendoso, swag management and platform for all B2B SaaS and even more B2C. So we do all kinds of fun stuff, really responsible for pipeline. Super excited to chat today. I am the earliest. I'm over here in North America, living in Salt Lake City. So these guys have already got a little bit more of the future ahead of them, but I'm excited to chat.
Great. And Mathilde, you can go next.
Hi there, I'm Mathilde. I lead engineering at Oyster. Oyster is a global employment platform. If you're a company trying to hire a talent abroad, come to us. We can help you with that. At Oyster, I focus on getting our brand in front of the right audience and driving them into pipeline, working really closely with our sales team and our operations team. And yeah, I'm excited to have this chat with you all.
Thank you. And Tony, you?
Hey everybody, my name is Tony. I am Principal Marketer at Octopus Deploy, and Octopus is a continuous delivery platform that really helps software teams deliver their software better in a more scalable and more efficient way. So we have a very technical audience and sort of targeting platform engineers, DevOps engineers, and things like that. But excited to get into it. Yeah,
super cool. So I think the first thing we want to just establish the foundation here, and that is probably, let's start with talking a little bit about what you think when you hear the word intent data. So we can maybe try to help each other define what is it that we're talking about here. Austin, do you want to take the first step?
Oh, I'll take the first stab. I'll leave lots on the bone. I think intent signal is such a hot topic and a fancy, splashy word that marketers love to use, as marketers do usually. But I think if you roll back the carpet of what intent signals are, a lot of them are previous elements that you may have used in your Marketo landing page or Marketo workflows or your HubSpot workflows previously to help create an engagement score. Whether this is activity on your website, whether this is attending events, whether this is doing things, just as you think about an account or pipeline, it's all about what is that account doing. And what are we seeing from them? And what is the company market doing or changing around it? Are they hiring a bunch of people? Are they laying off a bunch of people? Did they just raise a bunch of money? Are they on your website? And I think Signals has become more advanced, where I think Signals does, okay to get a new rebranding is because it's become a lot more first party than a lot of third party trying to figure stuff out. And so I think that's would be my first stab at what kind of.
Great. Mathilde, how about you?
Intent signal can be a lot of noise as well if you don't really know how to use it and how to read it. Yeah, a big pile of lots of noise that you just have to decipher and know how to optimize and use. So yeah, I don't have much more to add to what Austin said. It's a lot of really interesting data. There's more and more. It makes our work as marketers even harder because we've got more to work with, and we have to decide what's worth it, what's not worth it, what we think our sales team wants to action, and all of that. So yeah, it's not new, but there's always new things coming up.
Yeah, and Tony.
Yeah, pretty similar. It's it's really all of the data we have out there and trying to simplify it down. There's this quagmire of data coming in from platforms and offline, online, and within that somewhere there will be some signals data to sort of show, hey, these accounts, these people, they're potentially coming in market. Those are the sort of things that we're trying to get down to and sort of filter out the noise, as Mathilde mentioned. But yeah, I think that's the challenge. In the last 10, 15 years, there's been more and more data from more and more places. And a lot of it is noise. A lot of it is track that over time and get visibility, where it may be noise 3 months ago, but it may be important to what's happening now in the present. So yeah, it's a tricky one for any marketing team to get right, I think, but there's some gold in there if you can get through the.
Yeah, I think it's funny, Austin, you called out the rebrand of intent data to signals now, but hopefully it means that we've all realized that we have an abundance of data, but not all of it is probably relevant for the sales team to chase. Where it feels like 5 years ago it was okay to call it intent, pretty much anything intent data, but we probably know by now that like a college that researches you on your G2 category is maybe not an ICP that is ready to buy and stuff like that. So hopefully that's coming some kind of soberness to what's really intent and what is just, random people doing random things. But if we are to motivate our audience here today, why should they then think about intent data? Why should they care about finding the signals in the noise today? Tony, you can get to go first on that one.
We'll reverse the order. Yeah, I think like one thing I will always sort of talk to our team and say, as marketers, we should be trying to connect our work to pipeline in as many ways as we can as possible. That sometimes that's difficult for like designers, content people. With how can I join the dots? And really, it's trying to sort of understand what intent data is within all of those things you're doing, campaign, content you're creating, and can you connect it to pipelines somewhere downstream? That could be in a month, that could be in 6 months, could be in 12 months, but that's really the ultimate goal. If we can sort of take that data, and sometimes that just takes time. You don't like you'll switch something on, you won't know, is it good intent? Is it high intent, low intent? But the ultimate goal, and if I had to boil it down to one thing, I would say if you can get it to connect to pipeline, you're in a good place.
Yeah, Mathilde, anything?
Yeah, I would say it's it adds more value as well to what your strategy is. And when you're thinking of building an audience, looking at the intent behind the data that you have helps you really not reframe it, but like get it more segmented, more accurate. And nobody wants to waste the budget on an audience that is not ready. So it is so important to have your intent, your signals, but also know how to use them and how to read them, which goes back to a lot of it is noise, but a lot of it is gold. And yeah, you want to make sure you're utilizing this data in the right way to really optimize your campaigns, whether that's for your marketing team to go after on platforms or for your sales team to do their outreach to the right person. So yeah, you shouldn't overlook it, but you definitely need to know how to use it.
Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I think like these were 100% real. It's an exciting time. I do think like I was on a stage a couple months ago and I was talking about signals and like the rebrand and the tools out there to play with today. And I was like, this is pretty exciting. Like, it's an exciting time to be a marketer because you kind of are doing a lot more building, in my opinion, and like ideas and experimentation, which is like, I have growth in my title. So that's kind of like one of my fun things I love to do is like, how do I think about this? And, does A plus B equal 3 or, is it, 0.1? Okay, cool. I think like it is an exciting time to play with cool signals, figure out what could, as we've been talking, there's a ton of trash. There's a ton of gold, but you're probably honestly like one of the things that I find is like I can give advice on signals and like tell you like these things are amazing, but like until you try it with your ICP and your audience and your segment and how they in your buying process, like it honestly is so variable different. Like I couldn't tell you if it's going to be perfect for you. But I do think it's like something that is really fun that people can try and be like, these are really great signals for me today. Like I know people that are crushing G2 signals left and right. And I'm like, amazing. That's awesome. For me, it's a fine signal. It's like not my number one signal. Like, and so I think like, but having more people talk about that is like being able to be like, okay, what can I play with? It's more of like, I'm a cook in a kitchen trying to figure out what ingredients make, the best pancake here. And like, every ingredient matters, but like some are, I can skip the nutmeg this time because it's not going to improve it that much or whatever.
I think that's a great point, Austin, that you really have to look at it from your own company's point of view. What works for one company, like Tony said, he's working with engineers. Their behaviors might be completely different from what a marketer would be doing as him or her are coming into market. If I would just want to supplement a little bit why you should care about these signals. I think two things fundamentally really matters for us. One thing is that for us as marketers to have return on ad spend, ROI of our work, we need that sales team to chase the accounts so they win the accounts. Otherwise, there will just be a big zero in terms of ROI of our work. And then I think there's this other thing happening at the moment where more and more of the buying journey is moving outside the realm of the salesperson. The journeys take longer outside of your websites and shorter time with the sales team. And that means that the sales teams are not as much in control anymore of the sales process. And it also means that if you're not reacting to these signals, then these accounts might end up booking meetings with your competitors before they book a meeting with you. And I think every salesperson knows how annoying it is to arrive late into a sales conversation where you have to position against all the other crap that the competitor have filled their heads of the accounts with. So I think this thing about, you can see it now with ChatGPT as well. People do a lot of research there before they find a list of vendors. Like the journey can be halfway over before they speak with you. So for me, it's a way of looking a bit earlier than waiting for somebody to book a demo call and trying to see, are there anyone we can pick across the line here that we can have sales conversations with?
Yeah, totally. I see it as a way of, it's definitely hands in hands. Marketing and sales need to work on those signals, and marketing using the signals to warm up all of the accounts to the point where they can be handed over to sales. And then any additional signals that comes when the sales team is already working your account is just more indication that this account is getting more and more in market, more and more ready to purchase. And definitely we need to like share the same view on what a right signal is, how we use them, how we share them across the team, and yeah, working towards the same goal together.
Tony, you're nodding.
Yeah, 100%. It's we work really close with our sales teams. It's that alignment is critical. Even if you boil it down to basic things like the definition of what is a lead, what is an MQL, and sort of understanding what's going to nudge those over the line to go to them. The last thing you want is like, hey, we want more leads, and then more leads go across. Hey, these leads aren't good enough quality, and you just end up in this cycle of back and forth. But if you get that alignment nailed down really early, people understand, hey, they're coming here for whatever these signals that we're double clicking on. That's the reason why they've got there. And they can go back and track through, see how have they became a lead, what have they done. Some of it will be obvious. They raised their hand, they said they want to talk to sales. Cool. That's the ultimate that you want, but it doesn't always happen that way. There's other paths that we will end up nudging people across for a sales follow-up. Yeah.
Cool. There's already multiple questions I want to ask you guys, but I have to be patient, not asking all of them at once. I was just thinking as you were saying this, Tony, maybe we should just briefly touch upon kind of how the handover phase look at each of our customers, each of you three. When does it actually happen? Who takes it over? Is it the AEs, or is it the BDR, SDR, or is it automation flows? So maybe Austin, you can start by just saying a little bit about when I think actually I know, but when is it that you at Sendoso kind of give the account from marketing to the sales team?
Yeah, so for Sendoso, our development team is inside the marketing team. So for us, we own the development team. So our handover is an official, like, had a meeting, accepted a meeting. Sales is running that account forward now. So ours is after we call them, like, our BDR schedule an S0. The S0 then gets approved and hits the BANT criteria, or multiple different criteria. Account ownership is now begun on that. So that's where our handoff is. And before that, there's a bunch of obviously signals and intent, and our BDRs are developing and generating meetings. Our demos are generating meetings. And then as we walk into that S0, we have a bunch of different kind of recaps that we produce for our AEs to understand, like, how did this occur? Where did this come from? What is happening? So I know, like, everybody probably has always said, like, AE, just go look in the lead source field, and then go look in the sub lead source field, and then look in the campaigns in Salesforce, and that'll tell you. So we were like, yeah, that's 100% accurate. And that's very, that's a very, I understand. So what we've done recently is we've done like a marketing recap for the lead and for the account. And then we're using AI to, like, pull all of those fields together and then generate, like, a synopsis that the AE can have. So it's like, this is how they came in. This is the Salesforce campaign that they've been a part of in the past 12 months. This is the BDR that booked it during this sequence. And then we also do some, like, firmographic information, like scraping of the website of, like, here's what they're doing. They're hiring. This may be a reason why they're doing it. It's coming into holiday season. Like, these are things that we've identified, in the webs. And that's kind of like a synopsis. Hey, here's what we've seen from signals, from campaigns that we think, and hopefully it's awesome for you, and, like, it's a great meeting, and it turns into an S1.
That's super impressive. I don't know if you have already, but please do a LinkedIn post about how that all that
I do need
happens
to.
at some
I will.
point.
I will do that.
Yeah, it sounds super great. Tony, how do you do the handover at Octopus?
I did have to stop myself taking notes there from us and feedback. I think that's a really nice idea with the synopsis and handover. It's something we're actually rebuilding at the moment a little bit, but if I zoom out and give you the sort of bigger picture view, there's a couple of different paths that we will take, and it's mostly sort of, I suppose, dictated a little bit by ICP or account size. If it's I can't remember the exact thresholds, but there's a sort of a BDR level. Those accounts will go there. Others may go directly to A's and stuff for follow-up. But as I say, we're in the process of sort of rebuilding and sort of, again, using what are those signals that we put in to sort of nudge people across and sort of get folks to, I suppose, an MQL, if you want to call that a traditional sense. But yeah, currently it's dictated a little bit by company size and what the ICP looks like. Depends where it lands.
Okay, so it's not depending on a demo call is booked or not?
Not at the moment. If that's one path, that if somebody books a demo call, it'll go straight in. But if again, company size will dictate where it lands. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How do you do it at Oyster and Mathilde?
We have two different ways. So we are blending inbound and outbound a lot more. So we will have our traditional inbound channels like paid search, organic search, organic social, where they would come in and request a demo and be handed over to our BDR straight away for, like, a demo call. And then the BDRs will work with an SE to qualify the account further and create opportunity that way. But otherwise, we work out of, like, a sort of ABM strategy. So marketing and sales, we're all working towards the same accounts. So it's not so much marketing handing over accounts to sales. It's more we all nurturing those accounts together and reaching out to the accounts and just making sure there's multiple touch points. You mentioned that earlier, Steffen, but we know that a customer journey is much longer than what everybody thinks. There's a lot more touch points. And so we just need to continuously target those accounts across all of our channels. And that all works the same. Once they are a hand riser and they want a demo or something, then they will go to our BDRs and then qualified further by our SEs.
And to be a little bit like black, would you say black and white, or does the BDRs, are they part of the sales organization or the marketing organization?
So we're all under the revenue team.
Okay.
But we're like, they're not on the marketing, but we are on the revenue. We all have pipeline goals. So we're all working really closely together, just making sure everybody hits their goal and everybody's happy. Yeah, it really helps putting more cohesion between our teams, and like bring us a lot closer as well.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And also, when you said that, Austin, that having the BDRs sit under the marketing umbrella, that should also be able to like cut down the feedback loop of what they learn. Or
Yeah.
hey, this is shitty signals. Please stop giving me more of those accounts and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We get great feedback from our BDRs, which is awesome, and then we get like more account level feedback, or more like this isn't quite where we want it to be, improving on like the band criteria and with our AEs from our BDRs.
Cool. Let's try to make it very tangible. What you can use kind of intent signals for. So what happens? So let's say it shows up in Dreamdata or in some other system. This is the signal we've been waiting for. Can you guys try to come up with some examples of what is the workflow that takes place, whether it's in an SDR path or if it's a marketing path? Tony, what are kind of one of the top of mind example for you?
We don't really have one trigger. We wouldn't have like, hey, this one thing go. Obviously, if somebody fills in a form and says, hey, I want to speak, they'll go straight through. But we really, speaking specifically to Dreamdata, we've really built our engagement score around that sort of combination of signals that we want to see. And it will range from anything from like demos, they fill in a trial, but other engagement, basic things like they've been on the pricing page, they've been on other use case pages, they've been digging through stuff. We have also recently hooked in the likes of G2 review sites. If we can see people on there, I don't think anyone goes on to G2 for fun if they're not going to sort of click through. But again, it's like, then how do we match that in with our ICP? We don't want to just post everybody straight through and say, hey, these people have done these things and it's a student. It's like, cool, they're probably not going to buy anything. So it's a combination of, I suppose, high intent signals, if you want to call it that, plus a good ICP match. And we'll use that to really in two ways. We'll sync some of that through to Slack, and sort of that will ping into various teams. Maybe split that out regionally, and we'll also use it on the marketing side to push back into sort of marketing channels. And we kind of have a in-market, out-of-market breakdown that we're at any given time, you'll be in one or the other. And depending on where you're at with those signals, you'll get different sort of flavors of advertising based upon that.
Cool. So you basically, it sounds like you're using the engagement score in Dreamdata to like as the threshold for when something is one or the other.
More as an indicator. So we'll advise and say, hey, look, when you see this getting to a certain threshold, all of the signals within the engagement score are fairly high intent. So the higher that is, the better. You'll have a bunch of people that are 0, and that's a question we get sometimes, like, hey, how have these ended up? Like, because you'll see a record or a person or an account coming through and it's like 0%, and they're like, how? And we're like, look, they just haven't taken one of the steps that we sort of indicate as high intent yet, but they could be on our docs or they could be reading our blog. It's still a good thing, but they're probably not the right time to be reaching out to those folks. Yeah.
And then sending the accounts through Slack, how does the sales team feel about that?
Good.
Do you need to deliver it as like a piece of paper with like numbers they should call? Is it working that way?
It's really just getting visibility into those teams that need it, really. So it's nice that they get a sort of daily sync whenever our sync runs, the ping lines across into Slack, so they're not getting peppered every day with like, every 3 minutes there's one that comes in. They might have come on and there's a list of 20 accounts there. And again, some of that is just visibility. They can check 10 minutes in the morning. Others, it could be, oh, hey, we were talking to these folks yesterday. We had a call with them. They've popped up. What have they done since? So it's trying to find that balance where you're not overwhelming teams with like, hey, all of these things, but like, here's the accounts or the people that are they're starting to engage, and use the engagement score as your way to say, hey, these are maybe the 3 out of the 20 that are worth focusing on for the next day or two, whatever that is.
That's super cool. Mathilde, how do you make sure that you don't flood the sales team with too many accounts at Oyster?
So we use a similar integration, but we have the engagement score on Salesforce instead. So whenever they are working an account, they can see all of the information directly there. So we haven't done this like integration, but they have visibility on what the engagement score is. We're actually working on getting visibility into the actual signals as well, so we can bring a bit more context to it. But overall, like Tony said, it's really pairing it with our ICP and what really matters, what we're trying to achieve. So we don't just send whatever signals that we have to our sales team. We are making sure we're pre-qualifying those signals with, is it the right ICP? Is it the right industry? Is it the right company size? All of that, just to make sure we're giving them an actual good bundle instead of something that they have to work really hard for it not to work. And yeah, it's been pretty successful. The engagement score from Dreamdata is also one of like the key indicator that we use. And we also use the signals individually for marketing. So we use those to create audiences that we push to our marketing platforms. And then we're able to see, you know, the level of engagement across the different signals, and therefore take some assumption as to which one should be included in the engagement score, what needs a bit more nurture or a bit more love. Yeah, it's a bit of everything.
You're back, Austin, and just fell fell out for a second. Cool.
Yeah.
Super cool, Mathilde. How do you do what? I think it's a really interesting thing. This thing about how many accounts do you share with the sales team or the BDRs, because, and also depends on your responsibility of how many accounts how many of the accounts that they're targeting that you deliver versus themselves finding it. But I think you don't want to send low quality stuff for the sales team, because then you just lose trust with
Their trust.
Yeah,
100%.
and then they won't chase
Yeah.
any of them afterwards.
No, definitely in the early days, we had tough situations where we would implement new programs using different signals and it would completely tank. And then they would just refuse to continue working with us and be like, I'm not working that anymore. This is pish. And you're gonna be like, okay, let's just work on this together and let's review it. And it's taking a lot of collaboration with the team to like gain the trust and explaining how it works. And I think what I found out with most of the BDRs I work with is they're really curious. They want to know, they want to understand how it works. And so giving them as much visibility as possible into what we're doing as marketers, how we're activating things, really helps them in that process. And we're finally in a good place, but definitely over communicating sometimes is better with sales.
That's great, Mathilde. I actually didn't plan to talk about that, but there's probably some change management here that is worth talking about. If you want people to actually do what you say, you better have a pretty good explanation for why it's actually meaningful to what you're trying to achieve together with them. Austin, how do you deal with do you just have a whip, or do you also appeal to like rational reasons why?
Yeah, pretty much. No, we do. We're very collaborative, obviously. So our development team is in the marketing team, so they are super touched into what signals we're doing and what we're testing and how we're kind of thinking through that flow. So our development team is usually involved. Like, I think most people will agree with this, but like development teams are trying to find the quickest, fastest hack to get to a demo as much as possible. And so oftentimes, you know, that's random signals here, there, everywhere. They want to test every signal. And then when you start, you know, taking things away from them, like this is not a good signal for you. They're like, but it's still, you know, it's something I call at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I went through everything else that was good. And so we kind of have like a incubator program development team in as we think about signals and walk them through as new signals. And then like every month we try to review like what should actually be SDR's hands as like, this is a real signal that should be used still here for you. Or no, let's like take it back to marketing land, like core, like, you know, marketing signal land, and like, let's tweak it or play with it a bit more. We also have a pretty, I would say, robust outbound engine that is built upon a lot of different signals that is 70-80% automated. And so we have like a pretty automated outbound motion that is generated using the signals. So we're able to action most signals. So most signals usually get some type of either BDR outreach or, or an ad campaign launched in HANA, or a Slack notification for an account in market, or one of our core ABM accounts that our AEs and our BDRs are working together. So those obviously get direct Slack notifications to our reps. Those are the only ones that they really get, besides anything that's currently in their ownership. So anything that's like active pipeline for an AE would also get. Everything else kind of into this like automated motion that we work with our BDR teams, whether it's automated phone call or like not automated phone calls, human phone calls, LinkedIn kind of motions, or ad campaigns, or a general, it's really soft signal.
As you were saying that, Austin, I was also thinking maybe some of you also work with helping out with the sequencing or messaging to follow up on the signals as well. Let's say that
For sure.
it's been coming through, like you downloaded a certain asset, which is part of the signal, and you know what that asset is. Then you also know kind of what is kind of the talk track you want to be going with here. If you want to seem like you've actually read the signal correct, and you know the context that is taking place. Is that something you do?
Yeah. So here at Sendoso, most of our email going outbound from our BDRs are generated. Or like very hand-in-hand relationship with our BDR manager of like building out them. So most of the messaging, especially for anything automated, we actually had a whole thing, I would say like 2 quarters ago. We were like, we have this, when you generate your pipeline, forecasting, you might have like an outbound section, an email, like a nurture coming in from. We had this whole like, we this up because like outbound really is like, there is not such a thing as like outbound email, because most of it is actually like core marketing email generations that are, based off a signal under an outbound name or something. And so we kind of like had to reblow up a couple quarters ago because like we generate all of the thing. We think like, what people today would classify as like, this is a BDR sequence. Like that really is like, it's an email nurturing sequence for the most part. It's just built by the marketing team, and it goes under, Adrian's name, and we want it to be personal.
Ooh, so it runs out automatically. When is the BDR then waiting to see somebody replying and then take over the? So
yeah, so we use a unified inbox. So they just, all of this is going out, and they get replies back. So they get replies back into a unison that someone had a positive response here, and then they kind of continue and book the relationship off of that.
Super nice. That's another show we need to do at some point, how to make that that work.
Yes, happy to.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe we should help people. I know we just concluded it has to be signals unique to your industry, but maybe you should just raffle through some of the things that are actually not intent signals or intent data that people would normally assume that there's just gold to go chase. Sometimes I find this exercise easier of saying it's not this, easier than saying that it's exactly this thing. So did you have any like before and after examples of what you've done in your like far away past that was a wrong way of doing things?
Yeah, I think we all probably have some skeletons in the closet, and it's all there's a lot of trial and error have come down, but even basic things like, and again, it goes back to that alignment and setting expectations, like webinars. Take webinars, for example. It's like there's 200 people turn up to the webinar. There's maybe 3 that actually want to talk to sales at that point, but
yeah.
At points, it's like, oh, we'll follow up with them all. And then again, you go into that cycle of these leads aren't great quality. And it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be following them up kind of thing. But it really, anything at that sort of we would call it now our out of market audience, where it's like they're not at the point where they're ready for a conversation with sales. How do we stay in front of them, get other good relevant content to them, and nurture them that way until they do start indicating signals? But in old marketing speak, if we call it sort of that top of funnel, middle of funnel signals, they're all going to be webinar signups, could be content downloads. I think sometimes as marketers, if we put ourselves in the shoes of those people, and when we're buying software ourselves, like how many times are we actually going to purchase software throughout the year? It's a very small number, if at all. So, but when you're sort of dialed into your own team, you can all of these signals. Oh, that means they're going to purchase. It's not the case. They're not ready at that point. So sometimes that sort of self-reflection of how we purchase software can sort of feed into sort of how we understand the signals and say, look, the threshold's probably much higher than what we would like it to be before we can pass them over.
And probably one of the key ingredients here is, as you said before also, Tony, that is that you use a multitude of things that takes place before you actually deem it as like true intent, rather than the webinar might be there, but it has to be in the combination with the pricing page and the customer success page and many other things.
Yeah, that's right. They all count, but it's like they all count at different levels. They're all relevant at some level, but yeah, webinar in isolation probably isn't great. But if it's somebody who's been on the pricing page, like an enterprise page, they're at the use case, and then they show up on a webinar. Like I know myself, if I'm purchasing something, I'll probably at some point sign up to a webinar. I mightn't attend, but I'll watch it and be like, cool. Yeah, this sounds like and it might be the thing that tips you over the edge, but a one-time sign up probably isn't the one we're after. Yeah.
Yeah. How about
you? This is where my rebranding, Steffen, is just like that is lead account scoring from 10 years ago. Just like we'll accumulate it all. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
How about you, Mathilde? What have been the not so great stuff you've done in the past here?
Yeah, very similar to Tony with the content downloads. We have a ton of really good content on the website. We do a lot of our own guides and trend reports and stuff like that about global employment. And we have lots of people interested, and we just used to send them straight to sales and them being treated like any MQLs. And eventually sales come back being like, don't send me those anymore. It's a waste of time. They're not ready. Nobody's replying to my emails. I don't have time for that. And for a very long time, we just put them aside, and we had a special nurture from marketing for them. We would continue targeting through other channels. But then recently we started doing some more automated outreach, similar to what Austin was mentioning. And for those accounts that have converted through a content download and are still showing like intent through different signals, then we start reactivating them with automation until like they actually raise a hand, and then a BDR jumps in. And it's a recent program that we reactivated, and it started creating pipeline, which was great. But it just really shows how back then we didn't have all of the other signals to be able to give us more signal that the accounts was actually still engaging with us. And now we have a lot of that. So it's a lot easier to build that playbook and then justify it as well to the rest of the revenue team, right?
That's great. Well, say a few of the nurturing activities you do.
Like our marketing emails. So yeah, we'd like
primarily marketing emails flowing out to the
primarily marketing emails, and then we still include those in our social ads as well, and then any upcoming like webinars that we have, any new report, they would also be included in the communications for those, and then eventually you just start seeing those accounts coming back to your website or checking you out on G2 or engaging with your ads, and you're like, okay, there's something there. And then that intent is really, really helpful for our sales team to like also try to track that account in general.
That's super nice. Austin, do you have anything to confess that you have had your sales teams working on in the past?
Oh, I have, nonstop confessions. I don't know if we could be here all day, but I think there's always like, even when there's really, really high intent, like signals, you can mess them up. You can easily mess them up still. And I would say we've done that many times, whether that's like, for us, one massive signal that we use is just job changes. And so it's like one where, someone moves to another company, like it's been crazy good for us, at this company. It's been crazy good at prior companies, just because, you got champions, they're going to another place, they're trying to figure out that tech stack. That's always been a great one. But like, I have used that, and I've also screwed that up by like doing dumb things or like making it a hard sell instantaneously. It's like that's not what they're doing 30 days into their new job, and stuff like that. So there's like ways that even like I like, you know, I think these all are a great example. Content download is a massive one. Webinars, you know, event downloads or event lists that you just like, you know, people randomly entered the building one time, like probably not the best. Like those are all failures that we've done in the past, and like we've done, you know, the fancy HTML emails out to them to, you know, I'm sure they're gonna, you know, want to click this button, book a meeting now, and then like nobody opens the entire meeting or the entire email, and so that happens.
I guess
you're
also in the unique situation that you might be able to utilize your own like Sendoso product in relations to Signals, right?
Yes, yeah. So we use Sendoso all the time inside of our signals, and that's a ton of our follow-up motions are, you know, using Sendoso. And so I think like in that vein, even with a really beautiful diamond signal, there is going to be junk around that signal. There's going to be people that hit that, but you know, it doesn't convert. You know, that still is the case. Don't anticipate that like a diamond signal is the only way that you're in. It's just going to always convert because it's, you know, marketing and we are humans selling to humans. And so at least I hope so still. And so that is kind of the way that it is. But I would say for me, the way that we do it very close to what Mathilde does, especially with all of that, you know, lower intent signal motions, is like, how do we make this into an automated motion that is really not going to capture much of the marketing time and not going to capture a ton of our BDR or our AE's time at all? And how do we, you know, continue to nurture them, throw them in, you know, our create demand, you know, ad campaigns using Sendoso, like giving them gifts to see how they interact with the gifts. Do they interact? Do they not interact? Like, what is their thought there? And I think we've all probably seen this many times as marketers, like, you know, you're really at that level, you're just sowing seeds and you're just hoping and seeing if like it makes sense, because, you know, they're going through a budget, you know, time right now. They might go through a budgeting time in 2 quarters. And, you know, that might be the time where gifting maybe hits the plate, or, you know, in a year, that might be the time when it hits the plate. And so, you know, there's a lot of stuff in between there. And we try to use as much education during that time to help them, you know. Here's a cool template about how gifting can help you. You know, have you thought about sending, you know, holiday gifts, you know, when are other times to gift, you know, things like that, you know, like that can be educational for, you know, high level people that are like, oh yeah, maybe this is actually something that I should re-engage or think about and like reprioritize for my next budget conversation.
Now you're saying budgets. Yeah, that's also an interesting discussion. How much budget you can afford to spend on kind of taking care of that marketing nurturing. But it's also, I think, also why it's really important that we in marketing takes control of this nurturing or like signal treatment or whatever we want to call it, is that SDRs is still in most companies real people, and real people needs a salary. And so if we are to spend their people's time productively, then they really need to work on quality stuff. Whereas us in marketing, we're okay with like orchestrating an automation, like an email automation campaign, or setting up a little bit extra ad pressure or stuff like that. So accounts can wait until they're ready for actually like speaking with sales. Tom, Tony, you're nodding a bit.
Yeah, it makes total sense. It's we kind of act as that buffer between where like we know we want to still touch these people and sort of engage with them, but we kind of know they're not quite ready to go to sales yet. But I think Mathilde kind of called it out. You will still strike lucky sometimes. So it's worth kind of having that sort of level of contact where, yeah, it's sort of the marketing element of like that automated follow-up. But those 100 people on the webinar, 5 went to sales. You might find another 10 that were on the webinar that you just hit the right message, right time. The signals weren't there, but they reply and say, yeah, you know, actually we are looking at this. You're like, cool. You wouldn't have caught that one otherwise. So it's, if you can automate it and you don't have somebody sitting day in, day out, like reaching out in marketing, and they're sort of just an SDR that's in marketing, but you can automate it, it's a powerful sort of safety net. Yeah.
Are there any signals that have surprised you guys to be really good or really bad? Maybe start on the most attractive one. Like, are there any of the signals that you have like over time spotted that are like just really working, or the sales team love when those appear?
So a good question. I've got one. It's maybe particular to Oyster in our industry, but one of the signal was built off the usage of some of our HR tools. So we have tools on the website that we created to help companies calculate their employment cost, and these are usually made to help during discussions with leads or prospects to try to help them visualize what that could look like. But we actually have a lot of users just coming and like getting all of those insights by themselves. And we find that this is one of the key signal for us is if they're actually already looking to calculate their cost of employment, then they're very, very close to hiring someone in a different country and might really need an EOR to help them get there. So this is one of the key signal for us that's been really successful in driving pipeline is, are they using our tools? Yeah.
Super nice. Brian is also following up here. Any other diamond signals to mention besides job changes? I think one, just to supplement, for us at Dreamdata, we have this content analytics report where you can study the pages that the accounts that you have won have viewed. And quite often there can be a good amount of gold in there. But one of the ones we discovered is that we have this Dreamdata community, which for the longest time was just residing somewhere down in the bottom of the page, but it kept actually oftentimes being in the top 10 of the pages that people have looked at as they decided to buy our product. So we decided to let's move that up into the main navigation of the website. And I guess that kind of makes sense as it surfaces that people that are making a decision about buying our product they're trying to see if there's other uses. That's at least my interpretation of it, that if they can find out that there's other users of this product, maybe we can actually trust this vendor. So there's certain pages that are being consumed that might not have a lot of traffic, but for those who are actually in a buying decision right now, like yes, no, the same with the about page is always super neglected. But companies who actually take the time to study the about page, well, that's probably because they're taking your company quite serious. They need to see if they can trust you guys.
Yeah. And I can.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, for sure. I can speak to an example that we're going to test. So I don't know if it's a diamond signal. I'll tell you in a few months, kind of thing. But
diamond experiment.
Octopus is a technical products, complex product. Everybody's trial or demo experience will be different depending on what they want to deploy, what they're deploying to, what their infrastructure looks like. So you kind of get a bit of a blank slate when you spin it up. And so sometimes we will get a bunch of tire kickers within that, and they spin it up. They just want to see what it looks like, and then they don't do anything. They go away. It's like, was that a good signal? Was it not? Kinda. We don't know. We are going to start investigating using, I suppose, product tour type platforms, Storylane, things like that, and try to see if we can get them into. So like, you don't need to start a trial because we know there's work involved, and you might even get blocked. Your compliance team might say, no, we're not putting that on until we go through 2 months of compliance review and red tape. So we are going to test, can we put them into a controlled environment where they can go through, see them doing, they can still guide their path a little bit, but sort of handhold them through a little bit and see if we can get them ultimately to go and say, cool, looks like this can help. Yeah, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to speak now to some of your sales folks. So it's probably a unique challenge to us just because of the sort of technicalities of the product. And there's a bit of a hurdle there that we know that sometimes people just don't get over it.
Yeah, we do, just to confirm, like we use Storylane, and we feed the Storylane data into Dreamdata, and then you have completion rates and so forth that you can kind of study and see if that makes a difference for whether people are entering the pipeline or not.
Nice.
Austin?
Yeah, we use Novatic, and so we have tours on our website for different personas as well, and so we do that same thing as well. I would say it's been a good signal for us. I would say medium. It hasn't hit diamond status, but it's not like bottom of the barrel situation here, and so I think that's been a really good one for us. Another page that we have the same situation, kind of I think a little bit similar, Steffen, around comparison, community, case study type stories. We have a whole section of our website that's always, dedicated to that. And those have been really good. If they're viewing our community, looking at our, we have a sendoso.com/G2, which is like our G2 kind of overview where it shows a bunch of reviews. It shows about the, the landscape. It shows some things like that. That has always been a really strong page for us. And then another one that we have is we have a referral motion. So, you can refer or you can talk to someone that has used our product before on our website. And so there's a page dedicated to, people going to find someone to talk to that has used Sendoso before. And so those people that obviously they want to learn about someone that is not a Sendoso employee, how they're using Sendoso. And so that's a super, high intent page on that side. And we obviously help facilitate that motion. But that's been, another diamond. Job changes are diamonds. I would say, obviously, when we talk about events, I love events. I think there's a ton of great opportunities for events. I think conversations at events can turn into diamonds. Typical booth scans at events are not always diamonds, but the actual conversations that get had, those are intense. And oftentimes, I think we want to make sure we remove them from general event outreach, things like that. So whenever I think about whatever marketing we're doing, if there is a point where I'm we want to, take a left on this, this part of that audience, the general audience needs something different. That's when I'm oh, that's they had a really, good conversation, good resolution. They wanted to move something forward. So if they're super engaged on a webinar, they're clicking many things, they click all of the reports, those are, areas that we are okay, you're special. This is you're of this signal, you're the diamond here. So we're going to, go this direction. Brian, we are using a tech for that referral program. I will take a look at and see if I can remember.
Yeah, Brian is asking for recommendations. So make sure to follow up there. Mathilde, is there any, now we coined it as a diamond signal. Any diamond signals come to mind for you?
Oh gosh, I feel like they've all been told. I don't have anything more shiny.
Okay, that's fair enough. Guys, so we're so fast running out of time already. But I think we should each of you should take maybe a moment to, if you zoom out and think about intent data, signals, etc. What are kind of the best advice you can give to BDRs, B2B marketing folks out there? How should they be thinking about it? What is the actions that they should be prioritizing once they come back to work after this fantastic panel? Tony, I'll let you start.
Yeah, I can go first. And we've probably touched quite a lot of it already. It's probably almost a summary of what we've talked about. But I think Austin nailed it nearly in the first question with trying to understand your ICP. The signals that work for Austin may not work for me, and they may not work for Mathilde. So we will all have signals that we can sort of dial into. We will have data that we can look at in various platforms. And I think this is a shameless plug of Dreamdata. You did not ask me to do this, but having a platform where you can consolidate those into one place, pre-Dreamdata, we had signals here, there, and everywhere, and cool. We could see what was happening here. We could see what was happening there. It's very difficult to put them into one place where you can actually do something with them, or not having teams, whether that's marketing or sales, jump into 3 different platforms, 6 different platforms to see what's going on. So having that one place where, you can review it, you can see what's going on, you can see what's happening, but you can also activate it. You can push it somewhere else and do something with it, whether that's notifying sales, whether that's pushing into an advertising platform, or just building better marketing intelligence on your audience of what's going on. So that would be my zoomed out view, because people will know what their signals are and they'll have a sort of mental model. But zoom out and try to think, where can you put this into somewhere that you can actually use it and do something with it?
That's great. What about you, Mathilde? What's your best advice here?
Work with your sales team. In co-building those signals, those playbook, and that's really the best way to build the trust and have them actually adopt whatever you're trying to do. I would echo what Tony said about know your ICP. Is getting a lot of intent signals is great. Knowing what to do with them is better, and knowing how to personalize everything as well. And as a marketer, I think it's also a great way to reduce your spend and increase your efficiency. If you're actually targeting the right accounts that have shown intent, that are in market, then you're going to get higher engagement rate, you're going to get lower CPL, you're going to get happier sales team, and a lot more pipeline as well. So definitely work really closely with your sales team and act on those signals wisely.
Great. Austin, you get the last pitch here.
Man, I love that. Obviously, use Sendoso. No, signals. I think this was great. I was thinking through this, and I was saying, like, you guys have already alluded all the amazing stuff, but one thing that I like to think about is like, there are some wild signals out there. Like, you can generate a crazy specific signal using, AI, scraping, their website, scraping, LinkedIn, doing all of these things. And one of the things that I've noticed has been super helpful is talking with my AEs, high performing AEs and high performing BDRs, and being like, what do you look for in an account? Like, what is a dream account? Paint the dream account. What did they just do? What did they are looking to buy? What if you were, what are they doing? And then, trying to hear, a pattern across that, and like, okay, they recently, just up their ad spend because, they have more pipeline. They need to go and generate more pipeline. Okay. Like, that's obviously kind of Sendoso specific, but like, you can find crazy, weird niche ones as well. And then being like, okay, how can I generate a signal to try to, replicate that and identify companies that are doing that. And then like, that has been one of the biggest things, like biggest breakthroughs, is working exactly like hand in hand, as Mathilde was saying, with our sales team, of like, what makes a deal move faster? Like, what makes a deal move faster when they become a pipeline? What makes a deal become, a stage one and a demo faster? And then generating, like, how can I generate pipeline? Then looking at like those account journeys inside of Dreamdata, like, did they go to events? Did they go to webinars? Did they visit certain pages? And be like, okay, they did these things. Cool. How this is a new audience that I should try to like look at and try to identify. And so I think like when we say like signals are super, special, they're their own little diamond for your company. That is one way for you to help like identify where those diamonds are versus like talking to more marketers in your industry and stuff. Like, try to just chat with your sales team and see like what makes them move crazy fast. I think like that's kind of one, quick learning curve that's been.
I love it, Austin. That's great. And I think it's so fun to hear, like, now we invented a new word for things here with signals, but at the core of it is really that work where we need to, as marketers, listen to the sales team and what are the, like, I typically think about it as the one-to-one activity that the sales team is doing, and our job in marketing is to kind of, how can we do this in a one-to-many fashion or in a scalable fashion, so all people benefit from that little thing that the one AE has figured out.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's coming up to the hour now, so I just want to say thank you so much, guys, for sharing all these great advice with the audiences. I learned a lot as well, so thank you so much for educating me as well. For anybody listening, go to Octopus Deploy, go to Oyster HR, go to Sendoso and buy their things. Then they will be, and then make sure you tell them that you've seen the brand here on this show, so they can attribute back to us. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, everyone. And if you liked the show, then go subscribe to where you listen to podcasts to attribute it. That would be super nice. Austin, Mathilde, Tony, thank you so much for taking the time to share this knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.